get out what you put in. Never gonna lose,
Your own jingle, Ashley.
As long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. As long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in.
Oh my goodness, we've got Alexis in the house. Hello, Alexis. How the devil are you, sir?
Hi there, Ashley. I'm excellent. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to have you as well, because I've really got a load of questions for you, because you're a process expert. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I in the past, I've generally avoided calling myself expert at anything because I've always been such sort of jack of all trades. But yeah, if you had to pick something that I have very deep expertise in, yeah, processes would be it.
Well, so the thing is, right, you're an expert of, you know, more than the other person in the room, and you know more about processes than me. We've just found out because of what's happening today. So yeah, definitely need your help today. But before we dig into all of that, I just need you to give yourself a brief introduction, because there are some people out there that do not know who Alexis Kingsbury is. So please go on, tell everybody all about you, please.
Well, if that's the case, then firstly, it's lovely to meet you. So I'm Alexis. I suppose I'm a serial entrepreneur in that I've had lots and lots of different businesses, which I'm sure we'll get into why and what they were. I currently have 3 businesses that I still own and run, including a consulting practice and 2 software businesses. One of those software businesses, which is Air Manual, is all about documenting and implementing processes in your business and sorting out your employee onboarding and so on, so that you get the results that you want and you make it easy for your team to do a really great job. So I suppose in terms of process expertise, we do a lot of work through Air Manual with businesses to sort out their processes. I've had a lot of experience, nearly 2 decades of experience of doing process consulting in one form or another with various businesses. And then, as I say, I've built my own businesses to operate without me day to day, so that I can go and be a dancing monkey on stage at events, which is where we've met Ashley. Or doing research and writing playbooks, or forming strategic partnerships, all that kind of stuff, or just going on holiday and taking 4 or 6 weeks with my wife and 2 kids, ideally in our motorhome, which we bought for that purpose. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Fantastic. And this is what I love, right? Is let's get a process that takes us out of the business, and then we can go and spend 6 weeks of the summer in our motorhome traveling across Europe.
Yeah, we did. So 2 years ago, we did France and Spain. So going across from Calais all the way down to Barcelona, then across through Rioja, and then a ferry back. This year we just did France. We did a loop around France, going down through the Loire and then Dordogne and then back up. And then next year we've got a trip to Spain planned. So getting the ferry over and then going all around through the provinces of particularly northern Spain and then back again on the ferry. So yeah, you know, at some point we'll do Switzerland and Netherlands, and we've heard people even talk about going all the way across to Georgia. There's loads of opportunities to travel.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is, but if you can make sure your business runs without you, which is why you're here today, then we can do that rather than a cheeky weekend break, which is what a lot of business owners do. Just a quick say hello to Michal and to Miranda. Thank you very much for joining us today. If you've got any questions for the lovely Alexis, then please drop a comment in the chat box there and we will get to them. So, serial entrepreneur, not just an entrepreneur, serial. What is it? What's the bug? Why do you keep doing it?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because I am reminded of advice that I've had from various coaches of mine in the past, which is that if you really want to make money, like making proper money is boring, right? You do something really, really well and you keep at it and you stay focused and you do that and over and over with a system and you make money. It's the same for investing, shares and things like that. You know, if you take quick decisions and do lots of different things and invest in lots of different classes of assets that you don't really understand, you'll lose money. Whereas if you have one basket that you look after very carefully and you have a system, that's how you make money.
It's like Mr. Warren Buffett.
Exactly. Now, the problem is that I think partly because I'm autistic ADHD, partly because I just always liked the idea of building businesses and didn't particularly mind, particularly early on, what the business was. I just saw it as sort of cardboard roll, sort of toilet roll tubes and lemonade bottles and things that I could attach to each other to create something, which is kind of, you know, how I spent a lot of my childhood. So like that was the exciting bit for me, was kind of building the business. And so I think that lended itself to me just doing lots of different things. However, I think also there was a fundamental gap that I had in my skill set, my knowledge, that meant that I thought that each time I was building a business, that I was doing the wrong type of business, and that the problem was that the business type rather than the way that I was running it, because I would get really busy. It would go well. I'd get busy. And then I'd find that now I don't have enough time to do more marketing and sales to grow the demand. I don't have enough time to be able to service that demand. And so I'd decide, the problem is I've not got a scalable business. It's the model. And therefore I would start another one that I thought would be more scalable, and then close the other one, and then rinse and repeat. In my first 10 years, I think I've counted, and it's over 10 different businesses or business concepts that I started and changed, like a product, you know, whether it was building computers, doing databases and software applications for local businesses, washing cars at one point a long time ago, a PlayStation fan site with banner advertising. I've done all sorts of different businesses over many, many years. And each time ended up through this cycle until eventually I became a management consultant, working with large organizations, sorting out their processes. And it was there that I learned, actually, you need people and process, and that's how you build a business that can scale. And when you fix that as your problem, then you can extract yourself from the day-to-day, and you can spend more time on growth activity. And even then, I found it really hard then going back into my own businesses to try and do that.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, though, because you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt multiple times. All right, next time we do it, we'll do this. Next time we do that, we'll do that. So I've had 30 different jobs. This is my only business, but I have done a lot of houses up. And, you know, you put in a new kitchen, you're like, it would be better. And so next time you put in this kitchen, or you learn from your mistakes. You learn from what you like, what you don't like, and what works. And you know, a serial entrepreneur is going to be better than a one-person entrepreneur, because they've tried and failed and learnt from all those different things. And I guess with Airtable and what you're doing now, you're sharing all the things that work, to save us doing all those silly things that we now know don't work. And that's the bottom line, isn't it, Alexis?
Yeah, absolutely right. And I think that's something that I think I've found quite useful when I talk to audiences and people and business owners about this, is because I wasn't a natural born delegator and manager and so on. It's something that throughout my life I always struggle with, and it would even have significant people in my life, including one of my sort of first proper managers, who told me that they thought I'd never be a good people manager and never good leader. And what I learned from that interaction is that they were a terrible manager. But at the time it hit really hard. And so I feared managing people. I feared hiring for many, many years. And I was, as a result, I was kind of attracted to books like The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, which talked about, you don't need to hire a big team. You're going to use contractors, and you can sit on the beach to work 4 hours a week, and some contractor somewhere else in the world will just do the work magically for you. And I actually wasn't so much attracted by the 4 hours sitting on a beach bit, because I thought I'll lose a lot of purpose there. Like I want to be doing things and building things. But I do like the idea of that I'm not having to hire and manage a team, because I'm terrible at that. I'm terrified of that. I've been told I won't be good at that. And so I remember my first hires of contractors went terribly, because I went down the route of, I don't want to manage people. So I didn't do a good job of recruitment exercise, but also I didn't manage them. I didn't have one-to-ones. And I remember like a bookkeeper I hired as a contractor stopped working for me, and I didn't notice for months, right?
Wow.
Because I had no direct like ongoing interaction. And so I only noticed when I came to do something in the accounts and saw that the bookkeeping hadn't been kept up to date. It was like, oh, they stopped working for me for 2 months ago. And
Whoops.
I think I was just so terrified that I would mess it up. And then, you know, when I started to kind of overcome this, because I realized the contracting didn't kind of work, it was 2 arms length and I needed someone working more than that. I then did a better job, but still not great. And so I remember losing one of our first sort of proper hires where it was going well from our perspective, lost them after about 11 months. And so really the processes, the systems that we have in place now across my businesses and that we help other businesses to apply are from all of those mistakes. And we're talking mistakes that I made 10 years ago, right? And so now I'm fortunate to have businesses, but if I take one in particular, like SpiderGap, for example, my other software business, we've got a team there that has, you know, team members from across 5 continents, all working together, all working remotely, super happy, doing amazing things, working with over 600 organizations around the world, including well-known brands like PwC and Grant Thornton and Google and Pepsi and all these sorts of amazing companies. But my favorite thing is not that we've built this, you know, 7-figure business with this amazing team. With those customers, it's the team. I love the fact that someone like me who was terrified of hiring, managing people, and was always sort of coming at this from a very mechanical, like, I don't know what I'm meant to even do. I don't know how to do small talk. I don't know how to have one-to-one conversations. I love the fact that we've got to a point, we've got this amazing, wonderful, supportive team that are so super engaged and happy, and that they manage each other. And, you know, we've got management structures now that they manage at such a really good level because they're using the processes that we had to build so that myself and my business partner could be good managers. And the impact of that is huge. We had a team member leave recently because they had moved country. They moved from India to Canada as a result of getting married and, you know, finding a partner of their dreams, etc. But they, as a result, he was finding that he hadn't got many friends that, you know, in friend groups in Canada. And so in his one-to-ones with his manager, it was kind of realized that actually maybe this isn't a good fit for going forwards. Like, perhaps remote working is not the right answer for you at this stage of life. And so it's really sad but the right call. But for his leaving do at the remote session on our happy hour that we have on the Fridays, it was incredible. Like, the team had put together this virtual photo book with stories and quotes and memories from all the team members, and myself and my business partner included. And then there's a paper copy, a printed copy that's being sent to him as well. And when he essentially did his speech at the end, you know, sort of reflecting on all of this, he talked so enthusiastically about the experience that he'd had and the weird feeling that he's accepted and knows that he'll never work in a place that's as good as what he's had, and that everything else will kind of be down. But I love that we were able to create that, not because we were naturally just brilliant at this. We've had to learn the hard way and create the processes that then mean that you can get that result. And I think when people think about process, they often think about losing the heart, the soul. They think about, creating structure and bureaucracy and so on. And it's not the case. Like, when you do this properly, you can create an amazing place for people to work and to learn and to support clients and to deliver amazing stuff for clients consistently, regardless of whether you're in the room micromanaging or not.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's sort of like we can learn all of this, and that's what you've done with Emmanuel. Do you think that maybe some of this is mindset? Because you said earlier that a manager told you that you'd never be a good manager. So in your mind, you'll never be a good manager. So do you think that held you back for a while?
I think it did hold me back, but I think that it would be then a mistake to say that therefore the change, or the only change needed, was then a mindset change. Because I think that if I'd just gone, actually, you know what, he was talking rubbish. I'm sure I'm better than than is suggested. I think that I still didn't have any of the skills or processes to do a good job. And if I look at businesses that we work with, so like there's an accountancy practice that I've been doing a load of work with recently. They've been fast growth. They've gone from about sort of 50 people and been growing about 20-30% year on year. And they're a group of amazing people, and the leaders are highly respected and thought highly and liked as well. And so in many ways, they have the mindset around managing a business and managing people and so on. And in many cases, one of the problems that they have now is they've got too many direct reports. They've got probably works out as about 20 odd per director in the business that are having to manage these people. Now, they haven't got a mindset challenge around management. They don't fear it or anything like that. What they have is a process problem. They have a structure problem. They have too many direct reports. They don't have any processes around weekly one-to-ones or performance reviews and coaching. They don't have processes around their management of poor performers. So as a result, they have people in that organization that lots of people kind of know are like not delivering at the performance that they should, and yet it's being tolerated. And as a result, there are A players in that business that have left or are planning to leave. And they have amazing people in that organization that feel like they're not being supported in their growth, and that they often get blocked, but it takes ages to get that addressed. And all of those are process and structural issues that exist regardless of the mindset thing. So I think it's true that the mindset held me back, but it held me back from learning, because it held me back from attempting to hire and do it properly sooner. Yeah. Whereas I think that's what would have happened is I'd have just started to fail at it sooner and then focus on actually how am I going to do it better.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So because you were doing all of this, you put all these processes into place, and then you went, hang on a minute, I can make this a SaaS product that I can help other businesses. And this is where the birth of Air Manual was. Is that right?
Yeah, because what we found is that with SpiderGap, we started creating these processes so that other team members could do the things that we were doing, and to delegate and create the structure, both around everything from sales to delivery to software development and testing and DevOps and incident response and the HR stuff, recruitment. I've got my team are running a massive recruitment exercise at the moment for a software developer. We've had well over 2,000 applicants.
Wow.
And yet this is the first time that I'm not kind of directly managing or doing any of the interviews in the process for a developer role. Actually, so we've had other roles where that's been the case. But that's amazing that we've been able to do that from a position where I felt like I needed to do everything, and actually when I did try and hand things over, it all fell over. So essentially we learned building that business, here's how you can document processes and make it easy for your team to do things the way you want them done. The problem was that the tools that were available for doing it made it very clunky, and particularly it made it slow for us to document the processes. They were slow to kind of access and follow. They were slow to update particularly. And as a result, I still became a bottleneck when it came to managing and updating processes. And so the team didn't feel comfortable doing that. And so we built Air Manual initially to scratch our own itch around, okay, how do we make this really easy? How do we create it so that you can have a process checklist that a brand new joiner of your team can follow, and it doesn't look scary, it's easy to follow, and you're tracking the progress and they can track it and you can see that where they're at and they can capture notes. And we really wanted to make it so easy for anyone in your organization to be able to follow processes, but then also that if they spot it says two conflicting things here, shouldn't it be X, Y, Z? Or I've got an idea of how we can improve the process. We wanted to make it easy so that if the team agree, yes, you're right, that needs changing, that anyone in the organization would be able to make that change. And that became a big thing for us, that we'd gone from being the ones that were documenting and creating the processes to actually being able to just coach. And so people would say, I had an idea for our sales process. I was thinking, actually, if we reorder this, or now that we've got this new resource, we should probably link to that at this point. We go, yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay, now update the process. And they would update the process, and we could see then how they've updated it to make sure that we're aligned in what we've said. And then I never get that question again. That problem never comes up. Whoever follows the process next follows it in the exact same way. And so that was really the start of why we created Air Manual. Since then, there's been some stuff that I never imagined that we'd add. So, AI was a big thing for us, where we suddenly went, oh, actually, there's an opportunity here for us to leverage AI to help create processes so much faster. So previously, the fastest was probably go and record a video of yourself doing the thing. But I always found that painful because it takes ages to record it anyway, because there's lots of, you kind of tell someone as you're doing
nobody wants to record it.
Well, exactly. It's a bit scary to record, but also you get partway through and then you go, I probably should have said this bit at the beginning. So ignore what I said before. Now it's this. And then you do that, and then you go, oh, but I haven't covered all the fringe cases. And then you get to the end, and then you realize, oh, actually, there's a better way of doing that. Do I now have to re-record the video? Or, there's an update to the software that you're using. So now the buttons aren't in the same place. That's so painful, but still faster than what most people have done, which is, you start with a blank Word document and off you go, or you try and create some absolute monster out of boxes and arrows that link to each other, and then you move a box and everything gets messy. And that's what I used to do when I was a process consultant, right? Doing projects with likes of AstraZeneca and Honda and so on, is creating these process maps that were complex, but only consultants were able to, well, frankly, in many cases, read them, but certainly to change them. But I found that doesn't work with a small business when you're trying to, reduce the reliance on you. So we found that in Air Manual, we've now got this feature where you can go, right, I want to create a task checklist. I'm going to generate it using AI. You can dump in some context, for example, like, let's say you want to go, I want to, maybe it's for an employee to submit an expense claim. So you might go, so the task is submit an expense claim. And then you might put in the details we use, and then what software you use. We use Zero Expenses for doing it. Oh, and it's really important that they choose the right category, and here's a list of the categories they can choose from, or common errors that we've had in a Slack conversation or whatever, and then generate, and then it creates you a really decent starting point. And so what we've found is that's way faster, because now you can just see the steps and you can expand them to go into detail and add the detail. And I think that has been such a shift in what we found for a lot of our customers, because I think that in the past I'd have said, if you're documenting a process right as a checklist, actually it doesn't take that long anyway. You can just bash it out, and we do it with a lot of our clients on their behalf. But actually the AI means that you get a really good starting point you can edit from. And so what we've seen is that a lot of business leaders that previously really found it hard to make a dent in getting processes documented suddenly are able to make a big step forward, and suddenly find that, an hour invested gets them like 15 hours a week back, and suddenly go, oh, actually this is quite exciting, because I can now reinvest that time on doing it. So yeah, I think that's really where Air Manual came from, was experiencing that pain ourselves, but it's going in directions that I hadn't anticipated at the beginning.
And this is everything, isn't it? When we invent things, start things, goodness knows what else. I bet Google never thought they'd be doing half the things that they're doing. They just wanted to make search better. Quick shout out to Alan wants to connect with anybody. We've got Richard watching. Good afternoon, Richard. And young Andy's going to be drawing what we say, so keep an eye out for some posts. This guy is just incredible. So anything you say, he's drawing it down as we do this. I'm a small business owner. This is fictitious now, because I'm a very small business and it's just me. But I'm a small business owner. Say I've got 5-10 staff, and at the moment, each individual person knows exactly what they're doing. And we're sort of like thinking, oh, this is a mess, and we're thinking of maybe adding to the staff count, because we can't get the thing out or whatever it is. Where's the first place I should start with my processes?
Yeah, great question. And I think you're spot on that this is where you start to feel that pain. Like when you get to about 5 team members, there's value in documenting processes, frankly, at any point you're handing things over to anyone else, if you want to get them done, the way that you want it done. But actually it's when you get to 5 people that the cracks really start to show, because the communication is a bit difficult. You've got much more specific roles. So if one person goes on holiday or sick, it's likely that maybe no one else knew how they were doing it, and so on. So you've got all those sorts of challenges.
I've worked in that place.
Yeah, exactly. And so often we always say, you know, because our number one core value is focus on impact, we always start with what's the focus, like what's the biggest pain? And because I think a lot of people think that, oh, well, I need to sort out my process, so I need to spend about 3 months documenting everything. And it's like, no, you can be way more agile than that. You can start with solving a specific problem. And that tends to vary for the businesses. But one of the most common will be the business owner is too stuck in the day-to-day. So, for example, I was working with a business owner who they were working 70 hours a week, you know, not really seeing family, friends, etc., not really able to look after their health. And frankly, I mean, roll the clock back about sort of 13, 14 years, that's kind of where I was. But they were in a situation where they knew it was affecting their health, they knew it was affecting their relationships, and they had no idea how to change that situation. And they didn't feel like they could even carve out the time to sort out the processes.
Yes, because I'm the only one that can do this, aren't I?
Exactly. And so what we said is, well, let's just get an hour and a half in your diary for next week. Like we'll find that and we'll see what we can do. And what we start off with is saying, okay, so the biggest bottleneck in your business right now, as you've identified, is your time. Currently, you're stuck doing the day-to-day, which means you can't even think about what the business should be doing really, and be able to grow it or make it more efficient and so on, and it's affecting your health. So let's fix that, because frankly, if you end up in hospital, the business just dies anyway. So so let's sort that. And so we said, okay, and he said, oh yeah, but there's everything I need to get off my plate. It's like, okay, give me a list of all the things that you're doing, and then let's pick the one that's currently taking up the most time. We found one particular activity, which was essentially providing quotes to clients, which was taking him 3 hours per day. So people would request a quote, he needed to do a quote, and sending that out. And he felt, oh, but it's, you know, it requires, everything's in my head, you know, how I do the profit model, how we do the pricing, how we do the costing. And so we said, well, let's just get it captured. And he said, I know I'm meant to, and I figure it'd take me about 8 hours to get, no, I've just not found the time. And so I said, well, we've got 30 minutes left on the call. Let's see what we can do. And in less than 30 minutes, we managed to get the entire process end-to-end documented and scheduled a call with his account manager team. Like he had two account managers, salespeople essentially. And on the following call, in under an hour, they then followed the process, were able to do it for a real quote and get to the point where he goes, oh, yeah, no, that's exactly right. And there were a few little questions and tweaks, but we made those tweaks during that review, and as a result, the account managers could do it, and that saved him 15 hours.
I could even work out that, but 15 hours, right, over a period of a year, that's a holiday, Alexis.
Yeah, it's like 720 hours a year or something. Yeah. It's crazy. But the really amazing thing is that when I asked him about, okay, you know, we're all about focus on impact, so as part of our review of this project, like what's been the biggest impact? Presumably the time. And he said no. And I was really surprised, because that was the aim. He said the thing that I didn't expect but has been huge has been previously it would take me about 3 days to get back to someone requesting for a quote. Now it takes my account managers less than an hour. As a result, our conversions rate's gone through the roof.
Brilliant. So more,
and of course,
more profit.
That changes things so much, because it means that suddenly, to get the same amount of customers and revenue, you're having to do like a fifth of the work, or indeed you get 5x on your own. It was amazing, because he had done that. And then, of course, he just repeated that process over and over. And as a result, extracted himself completely from the day-to-day and was able to spend a lot more time on the golf course and with his family. And he then, he was interested in doing property investing, and so started doing that instead. And his business was able to survive and then thrive without him. But it started with that one process. And the key is not blocking yourself with, oh, but there's so much, therefore I'll do nothing.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's all about procrastination, isn't it? It seems like a big thing. And like you say, we just break it down, do one step at a time. We've flown by, the time's gone. But I just want you to give us a quick pitch about what Air Manual is, because I'm guessing that we can just go into it and we can do it ourselves. Is that right? Rather than having to pay for huge amounts of consultancy. So give us a quick pitch for Air Manual, because this sounds amazing. Because if I can save 15 hours a week, then I I need it.
as a starting point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it is what it is. So you've got an online software platform for documenting, managing, and using and editing your processes, your onboarding, your training. As a customer described to me, it's where we keep how we do everything in the business, right? So it wraps around all of your other systems, whether it's CRMs and PMSs and project management, whatever. They let you manage what you're doing. Air Manual gives you the how do we do things, and it means that you can support your team members all the way through their journey of taking on different roles. Whenever you have a problem, you attack the process rather than the person. So you look at, okay, how do we avoid this mistake in future? That's the platform. We do have consultants that fast track our customers and support them similar in the way I did with that business owner who's working 70 hours a week, so that very quickly, within weeks, they're getting years worth of return on investment. Because we're so passionate about seeing that impact. We do also have some amazing resources that people can use. We've got templates for common issues in people's businesses that people can use out the box. We've got over 200 that cover a variety of areas, everything from HR and IT and finance and sales and so on. We've also, because a big chunk of our customers happen to be in the accountants and bookkeeping industry, we've got a series of accountancy playbooks which cover things like client onboarding, which is much more complex in that particular industry than most, around things like employee onboarding, employee onboarding, advisory meetings, resolving unsatisfactory employee performance, and a load of others that people can reach out and get. The best way to do that, people can email me, alexis.kingsbury@airmanual.co, or you can check out at airmanual.co/resources. We've got a load of guides and we put more there. The other thing to check out, of course, is the podcast, De-Stress Your Business, where I talk a lot about some of the stories, both the epic fails, but also best practices of businesses, reducing the stress and creating businesses that don't rely on them. But we also interview experts go really deep on their processes that work, including the wonderful Ashley Leeds, of course. Your episode's coming up in a few weeks, I believe. So we've recorded it. It's awesome. And I know that when I shared some of the clips and so on with you, Ashley, you were like, I want to send this out now. You have to wait. So I think that was, is it 9th of December? I think that one goes out.
An incredible episode.
So please, people should subscribe to De-Stress Your Business. And check out airmanual.co is our website where people can go and have a look at the tool itself and arrange demos and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much. I think you've got a question for me, but before we do that, I just want to quickly give a shout out to Donna, who's going to be in next week. She's a payroll specialist, so we're going to be hearing all about that next week with Donna. So what's your question for me then, Alexis?
Yeah, so I remember at an event that we both attended fairly recently, where you did a fantastic presentation about some of the key things around LinkedIn that you recommend, including sorting out your profile, making sure that looks good, how to get the profile image really good. You'll see that mine's got a sort of orange background to my face.
I love it. Yeah.
As a result, so I do listen, and got the tagline and so on. That banner at the top, I've really struggled to make it look good and feel like it also has a call to action and does what I need it to without and get that balance, because otherwise it can look busy and so on. What should go into that banner?
So the thing is with the banner, all right, what I say to people is, do you know a 10-year-old kid? And so it's great when I've got a room full of people, because invariably someone's got a 10-year-old child they've got a 10-year-old child. And I turn around to them and say, hey, would that 10-year-old child be able to tell you what mummy or daddy does by looking at your banner? And if that's a no, Alexis, your banner's not working. Now, here's the good news. We do not get 10-year-old kids on LinkedIn. However, 70% of people look at their LinkedIn on their mobile phone, and as they're scrolling through, they behave like 10-year-old children. So your banner has to strike me straight away. And so also needs to be, so if you hold your finger up, this doesn't work on the podcast, but if you hold your finger up like this in front of you, your forefinger or your pointing finger, that palm of your finger there is the same size as your banner on my mobile phone. So if you've got lots of words on it, I'm not going to be able to read it. And therefore I'm going to behave like a 10-year-old kid. So that's the key thing is could your 10-year-old son or daughter look at that and go, oh my goodness, daddy does this.
Cool. So you'd recommend it's the what you do rather than here's the call to action?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Cool.
So because the thing is, right, let's just say I'm looking for an accountant. All right. Most accountants are going to have accountant in there. So how do I differentiate them? But if they're turning around and saying that they specialize in small businesses, or they specialize in zero, or and I can see exactly what they do and nail it right down. Because as soon as I say the word accountant to you, you've got some preconceived ideas. But if this is a specialist accountant that makes sure you put your profit first, or do you know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. And so exactly the same thing in everybody's banner, so that we can see. I've just been doing some work with a legal practice, and rather than just having the name of the legal practice in there, why don't you have something like, if you haven't got a leg to stand on, I'll help you get some money. You know, straight away. But not only that, there's a little bit of fun there as well. So you're not taking yourself too seriously. You're the type of lawyer that I want to work with, not the stuffy one that I've got that preconceived idea.
Nice. Cool. Thank you.
No, that's all right. Not a problem at all. I love these questions. Alexis, you've been absolutely amazing. We've got all your contact details. If you're listening on the podcast, go in and all the notes are there so you can get hold of Alex. So Alex, thank you very much indeed. And thank you to everybody else for watching. Cheerio.
Thanks very much, Ash.
Goodbye.
You get out what you put in. Never gonna lose, never gonna win. Long as you're happy, you're always gonna grin. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in. You get out what you put in.